This is ABC Fora.
So anyway, the biggest battle that really sort of defined the relationship was John Hamm. We did a talent search, and I told them from the beginning, which was very appealing to them initially because it meant it was, we had no money, that I really wanted to populate this show with the highest quality actors I could get, and I was not interested in trying to get a big star attached to it. And they didn't have any deals with anybody. That's usually what happens when you go to a network. They have a deal with, Danny Glover, and he wants to be in TV, or Richard Dreyfuss, and then you got to build a show around him. So I started just doing a casting call, and we cast some amazing people. The material got out there, and actors, everybody had to audition. I would not make an offer to anyone. That was already limiting me. In America, I don't know what it's like here, but actors reach a certain point, they will not audition anymore. So there are a lot of them out there that wish that they had come in to read for me, which is very satisfying. I run into them in airports all the time. They're like, "What happened with that thing? You never called me." I'm like, "I called you and you wouldn't come in." I hope that this whole thing doesn't sound vindictive, because it's really not. Because I know how lucky I am. Believe me, I don't want it. But so anyway, the casting directors knew that John was a very viable candidate. John had been on a show called The Division, which was on an even cruddier cable channel than we were on. It was a women's focused cable channel. It's since come up quite a bit, but at the time it was not considered to be particularly on anybody's radar. He did not play the lead. He played what a good-looking guy like that played for a long time, a non-threatening male in a yellow sport coat. I saw this thing. I was like, they really didn't want you to seem like you were not a sex object on this show, were you? And so he, can you not hear me?
No, I can't.
Rubbing on my beard? You want to bring a razor? That's good. Is that better? Okay. So anyway, this is taking too long, but basically what happened is we auditioned him. I went through a few paces with him. They pre-read him. He came into the first audition. I turned to them. I said, "That's the guy." I had what I think is the secret of my casting process, which is an intuitive experience about this person. I also had what I thought was the most definitive rule, which was I felt at the end of the show you would not hate him when he went home to his wife, which is really just a quality that you're talking about as a human being. And so they had never said in any of the process whether they were going to do the typical network casting call, where you have to bring in two people you don't want with the person you do want, and you have to fool them, and they have to read in front of the network, and everybody sits back and goes, "I think we need to read him again," and they do this with gigantic stars. I was on a show where they brought Don Rickles in. I don't know if he is. He's a very famous American comedian, 75 years old, and we were sort of like, have lunch with him if you want to see if he's alive. If you don't know what Don Rickles does, you're just embarrassing yourself. But anyway, so they didn't say any of this stuff. So I sort of said, you know what I'll do? I'll send you my top 2 choices on all of these people. And they sort of got excited about that, and we were going. And Don, the whole show hinged on Don. And they started intimating that they wanted me to hire a British actor, because this was the flavor of the United States at this point. It still is. And I've read some Australian people and some New Zealanders and all kinds of people trying to affect American accents, and some of them can do it. I didn't know Anthony LaPaglia was from here, but most of them can't. And the same way you don't want to hear Meryl Streep, talking about a dingo, we really don't want to hear that. I don't know why it's all on American TV, but they think that we're retarded. I was watching a play on Broadway where it was a brother and sister, and the brother had an English accent and the sister didn't. And I was like, what? I wanted to stand up and say, we can hear that. And I also said, Don Draper's big secret is not that he's English. So, and they were willing to spend real money on this. So anyway, I sent it in. They didn't like John. They didn't think he was sexy. That was what they thought. He was not sexy. And they also said, is he the best person available, or is he the best person for the role? And they also said something which I usually would have reacted to very angrily, but it kind of hit me in my gut, which is, he's just some guy with a bunch of shitty credits. And I was in the van, we were scouting, and I said, so am I. This is show business. What are you talking about? What does he have to be this person? So well, we don't find him sexually attractive. Okay, so I guess there's something wrong with me. This is a woman, so I can't argue. A woman and a gay guy who were the two people. I think that the guy who was in charge, he had just come out, but I think he thought John was sexy, but he was deferring to the female executive. So we flew John Hamm out to New York on miles, airline miles, and we sent him to drinks with them. No one else went. I did not go. And I got a call the next morning that they found him charming. No kidding. And they said that they were calling me from 3 different points in the universe because they were constantly going on vacation, even though we were about to shoot in 5 days. And they said they'd never done it before. They were very relaxed. I got to say, they showed up on the first day of shooting. They're like, "Wow, you really put it together." I'm like, "Yeah, we did." I had a great producer, but I appreciated that hands-off thing. But it was also kind of terrifying. But anyway, this is taking a long time. But it's got a happy ending. Obviously, you know the ending. So anyway, so they said, "Look, he doesn't audition well. That's fine. He definitely seems charming, but we're going to have to talk about the way he acts. He has this sitcom thing with this, this soap opera thing with this gravelly voice and this false intensity." And I was like, whoa. We're going to talk to the director and talk about how we're going to work with him and the director and see how. I said, no. You are not going to do anything like that because I sold you this script for $30,000 because I was going to have creative control. I did not do any rewriting on it. You found it the way it was. You had nothing to do with how it came together. And they're like, oh. They start getting angry. Hold on. So it's my way or the highway? I said, you are VIPs on my set. You are my audience. You are the most educated, intelligent audience. I want to know what you think. But if you're going to stick your fingers in this thing, I don't want to do it. Because I wrote it 4 years ago, and it's very dear to me, and it will break my heart. And there was a silence. They're like, okay, all right, okay, well, we'll talk. We'll talk at the table read. So I hang up, and I'm like shaking, and my manager says to me, I call him afterwards, I tell him what I did, and he goes, well, you better send drinks, liquor to these people, and flowers, and I said, you know what, I'm a dad. I've just laid down the law. I got to be consistent about this thing. Let them sit it. This is a punishment. I mean business. And I was shaking a little bit, because I was running the gauntlet, and I really wanted to do it. And so I called David Chase to basically brag about what big balls I had. And I said, because I emulated him. Of course, I'm emulating somebody. When I came to The Sopranos, it was making $1 billion a year. The man could behave that way. I hadn't done anything yet, but I was behaving that way. And I said, this is what I did, and I told him the story, and he listens for a second, and he goes, better be good. And I was like, that's not what you were supposed to say. So that was the beginning of a process that as the show went on and on and on, and you can't threaten to quit and not mean it. They knew I meant it. Now, they had already spent one of the $3 million on the pilot, and they were kind of pregnant, and really, I did have more leverage. And then as the show started to succeed, I got more and more leverage. But, I always said, you know what? I'm going to go home. I don't feel well. I'm going to go home, get someone in here to do this. Because you think that you care more about the show than I do? I won't have this argument with you. And also, it sounded kind of shitty, but I was like, of all of us in the room here, who's been on a successful TV show? And so they kind of let that go.
Was that one of the...
I stopped giving them outlines, and it got very stressful to the point where finally in the second season, they started saying, well, here's your notes. We would like this, and we would like that. And I was like, everything that you suggested last year that you didn't like turned out to be the audience's favorite stuff. Well, I know, but we have to worry about the audience. We have to worry about this, and you don't always think about that. It's not always that clear. I'm like, you know what? Give me all the notes you want. I'm putting them on the DVD.
This is ABC Fora.